Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. It's your guy Jay going over all the things renovation do's. I got a lot of nuggets to give you guys, so let's get right into it. So for the first one, when it comes to the do's, this is not your dream home. Keep it simple. And just like what we learned in art school, where we learn all throughout life, like keep it simple, stupid, that's something that you want to do when it comes to renovations. Everything should be given a kiss. And the reason for that is because a lot of people, they think when they're buying their first investment property, or even their 10th sometime, and it's just kind of in them, that they treat all of these properties like they are going to be living there themselves. That's not the case. And the problem with that is that you tend to overspend on the things that you would be living in because, let's face it, it's yours. Why would you not want to live in something that's really nice? Versus a rental, which we know that when it comes to rental properties, that they're not always done really well because landlords sometimes, they're like slumlords. But we're not talking about those in this specific instance. We're talking about properties in which you're trying to make it look nice, but we're not trying to make it look so nice that we're spending more money than what we have to spend. So when it comes to these properties, keeping it simple is going to be incredibly important. Now, here's another reason why it's really important to keep it simple. So a lot of times you're going to be doing renovations and things are just going to pop up out of nowhere. You're going to have problems, challenges that are just uncovered as you go throughout the renovation. So the best thing to do is keep it really simple early on. So when those things do pop up, trust me, it's inevitable. They will happen. But when they do happen, you're a little bit more prepared for it because you weren't going crazy up front as opposed to on the back end. Which perfectly leads me into my next point, which is make sure you guys have a budget. Now, something that I find from so many rookie investors, they go into it like, all right, let's make it rain. And the problem with that is that it's going to rain on you at some point, but it's not going to be the rain that you want, right? We're talking thunderclouds, rainstorms, like the worst of the worst, nightmare situations. And those nightmare situations pop up when you go, for instance, this house that is really close by here. I started doing a renovation on it. As we're doing the renovation, I thought, oh, it's gonna be easy. I'm not gonna do a whole lot, clean up the floors, take down this really wonky ceiling tile, easy. Lo and behold, as we're taking down a little bit of the ceiling above, some of the drywall chips off. And I told the guys, hey, no big deal. Let's take that piece down. We'll patch it. Simple. We go to patch it. Well, we attempted to patch it, and the drywall trowel goes through the wall. And I'm like, why would that happen? There's framing behind the wall, so when the drywall is secured to it, shouldn't move very much. My guy pulls the trowel out the wall. A chunk of drywall about this big falls down. And I look inside the wall, there's no framing. And I said to the guys, I was like, okay, we need to address this because this is a problem. You can't have a wall with no framing, especially on the outside of your house. We then take the drywall down. There's literally not a single stud holding up this wall. As we start to do the demo and as we start to take off, the whole backside, like the outside wall of the house, falls off. I'm not even joking. This is literally in the last couple of days. It falls off of the house. I was not planning for that. I'm thinking, man, I'm gonna patch the ceiling. Simple, amazing. Turns out I had to rebuild not just that wall, but the wall that was parallel to it on the opposite side. Whomever did this renovation, and 15, 30 years ago, who knows when, they had no clue what they were doing, and they had no idea that the cost of having to rebuild this wall was going to come up down the future because they're probably just thinking, hey, let's just put this up so we can make it into a bedroom. Well, lo and behold, after now purchasing this property and doing some investigative work, finds out that we really do have to do a larger renovation, and we do have to correct these issues. And these are going to be the things that pop up out of nowhere that you're just not expecting. They're just not something that you're expecting. So when it comes to that budget and having it stay really tight to that number is going to be key, because if you don't, when those things do pop up, you're going to be so far past it that you're not even going to be able to afford fixing the things that you absolutely have to. So another thing that's going to be really important when it comes to your budget is being able to just control your costs so that when you do find things that you do want to do, like for instance, this tile behind me, it was a little bit more expensive than it would be had I gone with a simpler tile or one that would have been a lot less money. But because I was saving so much money in all the other parts of the house, it allowed me to spend a little bit more to get this tile because I know that I was saving along the way. Now, Thankfully, this house didn't have the same problems and challenges that I did at the opposite house, but because I did save in places along the way, it allowed me to have a much nicer fireplace than I would have had I just been spending money frivolously and not had the same amount of savings on the back end if I did on the front. Next important place where you're going to be spending money is in your kitchen and in your bathroom. The reason why I bring this up is because this is one of the big do's when it comes to real estate. When you want to invest in the parts of your house that are going to give you the biggest return and are going to help increase your property value, you want to spend it in the places that mean the most. And when it comes to resale, the kitchen and the bathroom are always the biggest ones. Now, the reason why kitchen and bathroom are always really big is because people like the spaces that feel really clean, and the bathroom is a place where you always want to feel really clean inside of. Not to say that the rest of your house you don't, but a bathroom is really important. Same thing with a kitchen. People want to be in modern, updated spaces that feel today and not 20 years ago, even 10 years ago. So spending money in the kitchen and the bathroom is going to be really important. Now, how much money you spend in there, what you decide to do with the money that's spent in there, that's going to be up to you and your budget and how much money that you're spending. Remember what we said though in the very beginning, keep it simple and make sure you follow that budget really tightly. Are you going to be flipping this house? Or are you going to be renting it? I'll give an example. This house right here that I'm doing, this is going to be a rental. In total, I'm going to spend about $5,000 in the kitchen. That's going to be an upgrade of appliances. That's going to be refinishing cabinets. That's going to be adding some shelves. And it's also going to be part of refinishing the floor, which you guys are going to see at some point on my later videos. So this kitchen in particular, spending $5,000 on there for the return I'm going to get off that $5,000 is great. Versus if I was flipping this house, I probably would have spent about $10,000 in the kitchen, maybe even 15, depending on what I'm going to be putting in for appliances. Now, the reason why I'm spending less on a rental than I am on a flip is because I know that my rentals are always going to get beat up because people don't have the same care and love for a property as homeowners. If it's your house, you're going to do a much better job taking care of that thing. When it comes to renters, they just kind of treat stuff however, right? So you really got to make sure you qualify the people who are going to be renting with you so that you know that you can protect against the renters who are really going to cause a lot of damage to your property. But just general wear and tear that you cannot avoid, that will happen regardless and is to be expected, is something that you're going to need to be aware of. So when you're thinking about that, make sure you buy materials that are durable. So for instance, in this kitchen, I'm putting a butcher block counter. I have some cabinets that were wood cabinets that were refinished. Thankfully, they were in really good condition, so I was able to save them. And when it comes to appliances, I'll be buying all new appliances. Now, the reason why I'm going with those when it comes to new appliances and also upgrading the countertops is because I know someone that walks into the space is going to want a space that feels really comfortable and feels really nice and modern. It's a great way for me to refinish some cabinets, put some wood down on top without spending the cost that I would on some stone or upgrading to much fancier appliances like Wolf and all these high-end appliances versus going with something that's a little bit renter friendly. Some of the appliances that maybe it lasts you 5 to 10 years and you're going to be replacing it. But now I actually have some rental income that'll help offset the cost of having to replace all these big ticket items. So when it comes to flipping the property and renting it is going to be a big cost as far as what you spend and what you put into it. So it's important to know that going in. So one, you keep it simple. Two, you're also making sure that you have a budget when it's related to it, and you're spending money in the places that matter. For instance, like the kitchen. When it comes to the bathroom in a place like this, I just refinished the tile in all white. I refinished the tub in white. It looks brand new. Is it probably the fanciest or the nicest? Absolutely not. But I can tell you for sure, because I've asked a number of people who've stayed in the properties, how'd you feel about the bathroom? How'd you feel about the kitchen? How'd you feel about the tile floors? All of them said that they had loved it because it was clean, it was simple, it was white, it was neat. It was exactly what they were looking for the space in which they needed it for the time that they needed it. When it comes to real estate and flipping houses, a really big do is do the work as fast as possible, because if you spend too much time, you're gonna spend more money than what you want. Now, the reason why I say it is because this is a house that was purchased on a hard money loan, like a lot of properties that you guys are going to be buying yourselves. So when it comes to speed, it's going to be really important because the market shifts constantly. So I'll give you an example. So I bought a house that was in Boca Raton, and it's a really affluent neighborhood. House cost $1.2 million. Very expensive. The goal when we first bought it was to sell the house for about $3.5 million. Amazing. Problem is the market has shifted greatly in the past 6 months. 6 months alone. So now instead of selling it for 3.5 million, we're looking to sell this for about 2.8 million. So imagine $700,000 coming off the top, just like that. And that's because speed is really important. So in addition to speed being important when it comes to just how fast you do it in the market shifting, it also matters because it's going to be a big play on what you do when it comes to selling it and how quickly you can sell it. So not just, how much money you're going to make, but how soon you're going to make that money. So I have a house that I just sold about a week ago. That house was on the market for roughly 4.5 months, maybe 5 months. The reason why that house was on the market for that long is because had I have listed it 30 days before, I am confident, without question, unequivocally, I would have sold that house that much faster. And the reason why I would have sold it that much faster is because I would have had it listed in February. And at that time, the houses that were put up for sale in February were flying. They were like this. They were moving. As soon as March came around, the end of March, April, it was like falling leaves. Real estate, especially here in South Florida, it just started dropping. And now it was happening all across the country, but in South Florida specifically, we saw a really big change in the market, a shift that's been so great. And because of that shift, I wasn't able to sell the house as fast as I wanted to. So not only did I lose money in terms of how much I could have sold the house for, but I also lost the time element. Time is really big because now your money is not moving. And a big thing when it comes to renovating properties, selling, doing flips, you want to keep the money moving. The faster the money moves, the more the money makes. And in order for you to do that, you're going to need to be able to sell properties a lot sooner than you think. And the only way you're going to be able to do that is if speed is always on your mind. Another thing when it comes to speed is how much you're going to be spending on all the auxiliary costs that are associated with your property. Now, there are renovation costs, how long it takes to do this, and the windows and the doors and the kitchen and all that good stuff. But there are also all the elements around it. Well, what about water and electricity? Every month, every day has a number assigned to that cost when it relates to that house. When it comes to taxes, when it comes to water, electricity, every day has a number. I'll take you back to that property in Boca. That property is $16,000 a month, interest only mortgage. $16,000. That means that property is roughly $500 per day just to have it, just to hold it. If nobody shows up at the property, if no one shows up to do drywall, if nobody shows up to paint, $500 just for holding that property. And that's just the mortgage. So let's add on top of that water. Let's add on top of that electricity. Because a lot of these cities that we're in, they have base fees. If you don't even turn the faucet on, I can tell you, you still have a base fee that you pay for your water. Same thing for electricity. Doesn't matter if you ever turn on a light switch. It's irrelevant. You have a base fee that you're paying. Now take that base fee and divide it by 30. Well, every day has a number that you keep it. That's why speed also comes into it. Same thing when it comes to taxes. Same thing when it comes to insurance. So every day you hold a property, before you can flip it, before you can decide to do something when it comes to rental, you're going to be paying a dollar value associated with it. So speed is incredibly important. Please hold on to that one because that's going to be really big when it comes to taking a profit or taking a loss. Another thing I want you guys to consider when it comes to the do's is I want you to consider doing your doors, your windows, and your roof. Now, again, I talk a lot from the Florida perspective because that's where we are, and that's the market in which that I know really well. So when it comes to doors and windows, I can tell you that there's a really big cost savings when it comes to insurance when you have impact doors and windows and when you have a roof that is within a certain age. Now, the reason why I say that is because sometimes we only think about the things that are really pretty, right? We want the pretty walls, we have the pretty plants and the tile. Beautiful. That's what we would love to look in because those are the things that are nice to see. It's things that are nice to be around. But then you have the elements that protect your home and protect your money. And one of those things that protect it is the roof above you, the windows, and your doors. Now, when it comes to where we are in this area, we have the water that's really close by to this property. So I actually was forced by the lender to get a certain insurance policy that can protect against the house in any unforeseen circumstances that might occur. Hurricanes are a big deal for us in South Florida. So everything that we do is very much something that we have to protect against when it comes to the standards that we use for the doors and windows or the shutters. Now, we use Miami-Dade hurricane standards. And what that means is Miami-Dade has a set of hurricane standards that are related to wind loads according to what face your house is for that particular window. So here's an example. I don't know if you guys can see it in the video, but there's a window on either side of me here. Those windows have a value associated with them based on how close they are to the water, how strong the window is, all these design pressures. Those design pressures are something that you're going to need to take into account when you're putting all of your doors and windows on. So every side of your house has a different design pressure associated with it. So if you were to take the time and upgrade all of your doors and windows to hurricane impact, not only does it help prevent against hurricane, but it's also going to reduce your electricity bill because now you're not cranking up your AC because your windows are really old and inefficient, but it's also going to look good too. And it's also going to help against protection when it comes to vandalism because, right, that hurricane glass is a lot stronger. That impact glass is much better for preventing against break-ins, but also it's just something that you're really going to want to do because you're going to find that when you do upgrade to that hurricane system, right, something that's all continuous, it's just going to make for a better product and a better design so that when you guys do sell your house, you're going to be able to sell it for a lot more money. Now, when it comes to appraisal purposes, a lot of appraisers will tell you that there isn't necessarily a value that you're going to get for it, but there surely is a return that you'll make, one, for the protection, two, for the peace of mind, and third, knowing that the person that's moving in is also getting that added benefit. And then I also mentioned too, when it comes to the roof. Now, the roof is a really big expense because sometimes you could spend $30, $40, $50, $100,000 on a roof. This particular roof is going to cost me somewhere about $10,000 to $15,000 to do, but I can tell you that's going to be one of the big investments that once I do complete it, the insurance company is going to love it. They're going to reduce my premium on the year, and I'm not going to have to worry about the roof for another 25 to 30 years. So when it comes to renovating your properties and you guys are looking at some more do's and some more don'ts, when it comes specifically to the do's, make sure you guys consider the doors, the windows, and the roof because it's going to be an added benefit for you when you turn around and sell the property. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that wraps up another episode. If you guys enjoyed it, be sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel so you get more content just like this. And also make sure you turn on those post notifications so anytime those goodies drop, you're the first to know about it. So until the next time, catch you on the next one.